Hey, noble ones, welcome back to Metatron's Academy. Check this out. So I found this video called I Learned 3 Languages to a C1 Level, so you can just copy me. Now, of course, I'm always interested to see if this is real, if she's, actually someone who speaks this language, if it's a scammer. But I've got to say that we're starting well, because first of all, she didn't claim to speak 20 languages, 15, 47 languages, 153 languages, which is what usually a lot of people claim these days, the fake hyperpolyglot. She also does not use the word polyglot. We'll have to see if does she use it in the description. No, not that I see, so that's pretty nice. C1 level, so it sounds like, unless she just made it up, sounds like that probably she has certifications to back up this claim, hopefully, but usually when people use the European Frame of Reference, I am at a C1 level. It means that's been tested, assessed professionally, right? So anyways, I'm curious to see what these 3 languages are. Without further ado, let's check it out. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know.
Hey guys, welcome back to Easy
Thank you.
English with Kat. I am a native English speaker, but
Yep.
I have spent years learning languages. I speak German, Portuguese, and Polish.
German, Portuguese, and Polish. Okay, I kind of like it. I think that's a pretty based selection of languages, particularly Polish, because I think Polish people are great. I'm going to speed it up a little bit, though, because she speaks a very mellow. Speed it up a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit. Anyways, based languages.
And so today I'm going to share with you my exact system from going from zero to fluent in a new language.
Okay.
You can take this system and apply it to any language. And let me tell you, since I have learned 3 languages, I really know what does and does not work. And this just, everyone is different, but this is exactly what works for me. And so I'm just going to share my system and you can copy me if you'd like. My personal system follows 3 phases. So I will explain each of those phases. And then in the end of the video, I will share with you my exact daily routine.
Aha. All right, that's another bonus point for her, because I'm going to say, of course, every single one of us that has either reached a really high level in a single language, a level of proficiency, or you become multilingual, we all have our own system, right? And it's good to share it within the language sphere, language community. But it is one thing that has to do with the way I approach language learning. In my own personal experience, it's got to be daily. It has to be daily. Anyone who doesn't push this idea of daily practice, it's immediately a red flag to me, because I think daily practice is necessary. It needs to become part of your routine if you really want to reach a good level of fluency in whichever language that it happens to be your target language. She mentioned daily. Good stuff.
For maintaining this system, how I actually am able to achieve that every day. So let me break it down first. There are 3 phases. Phase 1 is just when you're starting. I mean, you're literally starting at 0. So how do you get just something? So it's that beginner stage. The second stage is all about building. You have just enough of the basics. Now you need all the real stuff. Grammar, vocabulary, input, output. I mean, all the real stuff that actually builds a language. That is what we start in phase 2. Now, phase 3 is all about high input. That is the summary. And that, to be honest, phase 3 is endless. So once
high input. Okay, so one thing I'm noticing, there's nothing necessarily wrong with what she's saying, and we'll have to see how she fleshes it out, but I didn't hear any mention of pronunciation, and I'm hearing her saying input a lot. She did mention output as well, but output, in my opinion, is necessary in combination with input from day 1 to day 3,000, 3 million. But then again, we can disagree, it's fine. If there is a disagreement or not, we'll have to see. But you got to start with working on pronunciation at the very beginning. I hope she covers that in a little bit.
Once you get to that point, you just have to continue for as long as you want to speak that language. It's all about integrating it into your life, living and creating immersion for yourself.
Okay.
Even if you're not in the place, you have to create immersion.
True. Okay, yes, absolutely. Simulated immersion is the next best thing to someone who can't relocate, which is a lot of people, to be honest, probably the majority of language learners, am I right?
Let's dive into phase 1.
Okay.
This stage really has to do with vocabulary and pronunciation.
All right, she's good. I told you, I haven't watched it, but that's what I'm saying. Pronunciation's got to be there at the very beginning, which obviously means then now I know that she also wants some certain level of production or output, because there are systems out there that tell you don't speak at the beginning, wait until you have like 1,000 hours of listening. It's nonsense. You have to start speaking from day one. And focusing on pronunciation at the very beginning is necessary in order to avoid fossilization and bad habits. Based.
And I like to think of this part of the process like how kids learn languages. Now, if you think about kids when they're starting to learn to speak,
That one is a little overused though, so we'll see.
it's not like their parents or teachers are sitting them down at the table every day, you know, like this little
Right.
1-year-old or 2-year-old and saying, okay, you need to learn this grammar structure here, and then can
Of
you do
course.
these exercises and practice it?
Yeah.
Not at all. That is not how kids learn. And it's not how we should be beginning the process of learning a language.
All right, so I do have to qualify that a little bit though, because one thing she may not know is that this idea of learn like children is kind of a double-edged sword these days, and it's a little bit frowned upon within the extended language community. Not because there isn't anything that we can learn from the way children naturally acquire language. No, that's great. You can use children for some things, but to believe that adults, which is usually who we are talking to right now, adults are not children. There are differences biologically, intellectually. What that means is that while some can transfer, this idea of, not that she's saying, I'm not trying to strawman her, but I have to add, do like children, do like kids, up to a certain extent, because it's not something that you can. Also, because think about it, children at first suck at speaking languages. They're really good at acquiring pronunciation, for instance, but the way they speak, before a child actually starts speaking in a way that you would consider a good achievement in your own language path, you gotta wait years and years. That is because the minds are different. So children excel at some aspects of language learning to a point that they are fantastic, right? Because they can become natives within a certain biological window. Studies differ on how long that is. I would say about 3 years. But then again, there are other things that adults excel at. The children don't. So kind of it depends. But anyways.
Now, of course, grammar is important. Structure is important.
Yeah.
You have to practice this.
Yes.
But that's not the start of the language learning journey.
I agree.
And the way that kids learn languages is they hear vocabulary and they practice the same words.
Well, to be honest, children also hear the language, grammar, structures, and syntax. They don't study it actively, but they learn it by repetition and exposure.
Their first words are super simple. It's the words they need the most common words. So we're going to start there. And what I always like to do is I start with the top 1,000 most common words in that language.
That's fine. When it comes to frequency lists, that's what she's talking about. I'm not against it, but you have to be really imaginative in the way that you use them. Because if you do this, you open a list of words, or you print it and have it in your hands, or you scroll it on your phone, and you just start reading the, my, I, soup, table, you're not going to learn anything. It's a waste of time. So it's fine as a way to organize vocabulary, but personally, I like to also, like, you take it from the list of 1,000 words, but rather than just reading it as is, you take them and put them into groups that make sense logically. So for instance, today I'm going to learn the vocabulary for food. So you find it within these words, so you don't learn like a term that has to do with the proteic molecules within pineapples. Who cares? No, you learn the ones that are going to be commonly used, the type of food that also is part of your life, put them together into a little like 20, 30 words vocabulary list, and then you use it as you eat that food, as you see it in the supermarket, as you show images of it, or you see it in a movie and that kind of stuff. Because the list itself, just because it's the 1,000 most commonly used words, and if you learn these, you will know 80% of common conversation, 90%. Right, but you're never going to learn it from a list. So be careful from the way, it's the way you use the lists that matter. In principle, it's a good idea, but it's the way you do it.
This is super easy to find. If you just search the language Spanish, top 1,000 words, there will be a list, and you just print out a document of that list and you have it. That's all you
Right, and as I said, find that you can print it out. Just don't use it as is what I'm saying.
need to do. Or you can ask AI, say, make me a list of the top 1,000 most common words of this language, and it will give it to you.
Yeah.
So you need this list, and I like to have it printed, and I keep track. And at this point, I choose a number of how many I'm going to learn a day. Now, when I first started learning languages, I was doing, I think, 20 words a day. And as I became a more experienced, more advanced language learner, I started to do 100 words a day.
Okay, that's the part where she's losing me, because 100 words a day, guys, it's about ego. Let's be honest about this. What does 100 words a day even mean? I'll tell you what it means. It means, oh, wow. But in reality, it's how much do you bench, bro, within language learning community. Because do we care about actually acquiring this vocabulary, learning it, meaning that not only you will understand it in the wild immediately, but also you can recall it when needed during a conversation. If that's what you want, it's not realistic. If what you want is put a little green mark next to 100 words so that you feel good about yourself and you can impress your friends, I'm not saying that's what she's saying, but you're overpromising, okay? I mean, maybe you believe it. I'm not saying you're a scammer or a liar. You don't look like one, okay? You seem legitimately passionate. But 100 words a day, come on, that's 1,000 words in 10 days. After a month, you have 3,000 words. Do you understand how much revision that takes on day 11 to make sure you actually know this vocabulary, can use it? Reduce the number of words. In fact, that's very personality driven. If you're someone who loves structure and, setting goals, achievable goals, but setting goals really helps you push forward, then by all means, I have to do 15 words a day. Do it. But don't fixate on it. And in fact, my guess would be, let it flow naturally. Because if whatever, you learned 4 that day, but you really learned them. Or you learned 9. Oh, nice. Look, how many did I learn? 9. Because if you set your goal, I actually talk about this in my book. If you set your goal, I have to learn 25 or 100 words, you're going to try to achieve that number because otherwise you think you're a failure. And you will end up achieving that number by all means necessary. And by all means necessary means you are not actually learning these words. You will forget them after 3 days. So what's the point? 100 words a day.
But obviously you don't start there. That's like the advanced mode.
You don't even start at 25. I want to be honest with you.
So you can pick, I just recommend doing more than 10 a day. So just something more than 10, but even 20, 15, that's fine. Do that, okay? And for this phase, I like to use flashcards.
That's fine. Flashcards are excellent.
Them all the time, actually, so
That's
they're
fine.
great. But in this phase, I like physical, real flashcards because there's something important about studying using your senses to experience the language.
Okay, so it's an interesting way to put it. I know plenty of people who success because I'm with her on this. I love physicality of media. So in fact, doesn't just apply to language learning. Bro, I like physical media like I mean it. Cannon Fodder, fantastic game. I'm going to play it later. But I will say this. There are plenty of people that, differently from us, actually are very successful when it comes to using their computer or apps for flashcards. So there's nothing wrong with it. The idea of having to use your taste, your touch, fine, but I'm not sure how much. I mean, maybe she's right. I don't know what there is scientific evidence for it. But if I touch this, is it really going to help me memorize the word screwdriver? Or does it? I mean, personally, maybe an experience with it, which does involve senses for sure. But I'm sure that opening this packet and having fun using it while I try to open one of my Sega Genesis games as I say, what's the word for it again? Sure, because I'm creating an experience and a memory that is fun. But yeah.
Just like I was talking about kids before, kids experience language. They don't just take it in like boom, 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 boom. It's part of their life. And you want to try your best to create this. Even if you have to manufacture this environment, it's really important that you are really experiencing the words, where you are really using your senses and feeling them. And it will help you learn it so much faster. I
agree.
Especially for this beginner phase. There's something really good about connecting the word to a physical item. So you have your flashcards, okay? Now you're studying your words every day. Perfect. The other thing that you need to do early on in the process is focus on pronunciation. A lot of people wait to focus on pronunciation.
True, and they're full of shit when they teach people to do it, particularly.
And this is a huge mistake. Pronunciation is actually essential to building your foundation for a language. Without it, it makes the language just feel blurry in your mind. The times where
and in the mind of the people that are trying to understand what the heck you're on about, meaning the natives you're having conversations with,
have lacked in focusing on pronunciation, the language learning journey has been so much harder.
Yeah.
And the problem is it doesn't get better. You need to focus on it early on because when you continue making the same mistakes in your speech,
it solidifies.
they start to form habits and you think that that's actually how a word sounds. So it is an essential focus. If you are learning
That's called fossilization. That is the technical term for it. And she's absolutely right.
English, I actually have a 7-day pronunciation workout,
Nice.
which is designed to help learners at any level. So if you haven't taken the time to really fine tune and focus on your pronunciation, I totally recommend doing that just to even that out so that your actual mouth muscles are at the same level as where you are in your brain. We want to be at the same level. You have the pronunciation skills to keep up with the vocabulary and knowledge that you have.
And you also have to be humble. I want to say that, because oftentimes we think, oh, I'm better than everyone else. This tends to happen when you're in your early 20s, I'm going to say. It usually stops after you reach 30. But in general, I'm so special. I pronounce better than everyone else. And so if you do that and you actually think that you're pronouncing perfectly, what ends up happening is the Dunning-Kruger effect. You don't have the level to self-assess, but you also think that you're so good that you end up overestimating your own skills, which is a problem. It's a stumbling block, because then you won't even ask, did I pronounce that right? Because you think you're the shit. So you need, the more humble you are within the language learning space, the higher your level will be and more quickly.
But just to recap here, phase 1, this beginning.
Yeah, we don't need the recap. All right, next.
Now we're going to introduce grammar, sentence structure, all the
That's
fun
phase 2.
stuff.
Phase 2.
For this phase, you need 3 things. You need a workbook, and you need a notebook, and you need a vocab notebook.
Okay.
Now,
Cool.
let me explain the differences here. For the workbook, this is actually going to be your course. This is where you're going to get your daily lesson, and this is absolutely essential.
Nice.
Now, I always find my course book by looking up in the place where they speak that language. You look up their language courses, and you see which course book they teach that foreign language in. Now, I don't know if that makes sense. So if you are learning Spanish, you would look up language schools in Spain. And you do a little research here to see which workbook they use at these language schools. Then you're going to buy that workbook. It's usually about...
I mean, that's fine. Maybe you need a few reviews on those, but I mean, that's okay. Workbook and notebooks, whereas input, mindset, shift. Phase 3, immersion. Let's see a little bit of this one.
You just do it and you don't even think about it. Now you are getting to the level of really, really prioritizing all the input that you can. So if you're driving your car, you have something playing in that language. If you are walking somewhere, you are listening to something in that language.
Totally.
If you are going on a
Possibly listen and repeat.
run, you are thinking in that language. If you're taking a shower, you're thinking in that language.
Or singing.
So you need to create an immersive experience for yourself. Haven't
Totally.
you heard people say, oh, the only way to learn a language is by moving there and you learn by immersion?
They're wrong.
Everyone says that. And it's
It is the best way to learn it.
not true. I can tell you, I have lived in many different foreign countries, and some of the foreign countries I live in, I speak the language. I live in Poland right now, and I speak the language.
Nice.
But I've also lived in countries where I literally did not learn a single word.
Well, of course, because you have to know how to use the fact that you're there. And normally I would tell people before you move, if you can move to another country, which still is the best way to learn, then it would be good to have at least 1 year of studies in the language. And of course, kind of depends on the language as well, before you actually try and move, because then you can make the best of it and try to create those connections that you're going to need.
And that is totally possible. I mean, we have Google Translate. You can literally use ChatGPT as a translator now, if you didn't know that. Like, it is fine. You can get by just fine not knowing a single word. So that is not true. But what people mean when they're saying this is that immersion is essential to language learning.
Yes, totally.
And that is true. But the thing is that you can create immersion for yourself.
At home,
it's
yeah.
actually one of the coolest things. You
True.
can literally say, I am going to begin living in this language. And when you shift your mindset to that point, you will become fluent. If you don't, fluency is going to take you a lot longer. And maybe
You know, this was great. I agree 100%. In my book, I actually coined an expression, for this, and it's functional immersion, because just immersing yourself, it's good, it's great, what she's saying, fantastic, but you have to produce. You have to speak output, absolutely, which makes it, in my opinion, functional. But anyways, I agree with this. Fantastic. Manufacture, simulate an environment where you use the language, think of the language, surround yourself with the language as much as you can. And that's fantastic. I liked the video. For the rest, if you liked it too, click the link in the description so you can go watch it and give the view and interaction and to the original creator. And thank you for watching Metatron's Academy. Have a good one.